Okay. The Rambam that we're learning, Hilchos Shabbos, beginning of Hilchos Shabbos, Perik Aleph, Halacha Aleph. The Rambam starts off telling us Shvisa, Bashvi, Memeleches, Memelecha, Mitzvahs Hasei. Shenemar b'yem Hashvi Tishbis. Being Shavis is a Mitzvah Hasei. Okay, good. Mitzvah Hasei, Shvisa. What it means, we'll see. The Chalaisa v'Melacha Bitul Mitzvahs Hasei. V'Ava Alois Hasei. Shenemar Leisasa Kol Melacha. Okay. Just to note, on a point, that he used the Lashon Shvisa Bashvi. In the say Minyan HaMitzvah, Sefer HaMitzvah, he writes Shenishbis B'Shabbos. Lishbis B'Shabbos. That's one point. Also, the pasuk he brings is Tishbis. Okay, it's all good, no problem. Yeah. What the question is, why does he mention Lishbis B'Malacha? Shvisa, the Lishbis, Stam. That's what he says in most places. And as we said, the Shvi, and he writes two things. Shvisa Bashvi is Mitzvah Hasei. Chalaisa B'Malacha Bitul Mitzvah Hasei. Anybody who knows anything realizes that there's a mitzvah to be shavis. When you're not shavis, you're about to mitzvah. The Rambam doesn't say mitzvah l'shkaya b'sheifa. Lehem lein to b'sheifa bitul mitzvah. Mitzvah leishvazukah lein loishvazukah bitul mitzvah. Of course, he doesn't say this all the time. There are select times where he tells you bitul mitzvah. There has to be a reason why he's saying it. That's in Hilchos Shabbos. Hilchos Yontif. Perik Aleph, Halacha Aleph also. So that's a very interesting statement. He gives the whole list of the 6 Mayadim. They all have the same din of Shvisa. And he says, what? Except for Tzarech Echel Nefesh. Allah Beis, there he writes, just an interesting point. Don't think you have to be shavis in everyone. It's all one big mitzvah. It's each Yom Tov mitzvah itself. There can be a discussion for itself, but it's not here. Hare Kayim mitzvah. Use a Lashon Kayim mitzvah. What's Kayim? Why did he not write Shabbos also Kayim mitzvah? He said Shvisas mitzvah. He should also say shavis memelacha. And the lish by some malachim mitzvah say, or where shvisas kulam is mitzvah say. What was this kayim mitzvah say? And what pasuk does it bring? A pasuk called Shabbos. Klem shvus. Shabbos. Oh, mazay Shabbos steht rech Shabbos. Shabbos is Shabbos. And then he says again, if you do malacha, and he brings a Moshe, Shabban, Yoras, Yorag. three Mishalim. Good, but why is he bringing a Moshe? We don't know what Malach is. He just finished Hilchos Shabbos. All Malach is. Again, bottle mitzvah say. Again, bottle mitzvah say. Of course, you didn't belong to bottle mitzvah say. What's the chiddush? Why do you have to say it? So the Lashon Kayim, and why again the bottle? And also the organization of the mitzvahs. He starts off with an Anoche. You know that it's also Malacha. And then he tells you the Kayim, and then he tells you the Bittul. He should have started off telling you that there's a mitzvah of Shvis. Like he said, Lishba is being Sheish Yom Meilu, Sheish Yom Meilu, mitzvahs Hasei. And then he should tell you which Malachas are Mutter, which Malachas are also. Okay, those are some auras over here. In Perkov Aleph and Hilchos Shabbos, the Rambam writes a very interesting expression and lotion, and it's hard to understand what he said. Nema b'toiro tishbos. There's his tishbos. Stop here, and everyone would say it's a doiraisa. That's what it sounds like. Of them sagt der Rambam mit Dvorim harbe hein she'os v'chacham mishmishus. And Dvorim asurim meishan daimel malachos. And Dvorim asurim gzeir shem yovim hem isiskil. Then he says there are things that are also the Chacham asur. So what is the Reis of the Rabbanon? What's going on here? So this is not my catch. This is Aleph. So the Maggid Mishnah says, and he quotes a Ramban, which I want to get into, and he says that the Torah assered malachos, and then he says, "Adayin oyodam yochalis omal bedvarim shein malachos kalayim." Tishbeis is telling you, besides malacha, don't plan your chores for Shabbos. In other words, lahavdil, the Vel, Sunday is the day you take care of everything around the house. Lahavdil, that's what Shabbos could have become without the mitzvah of Tishbis, as we'll see soon. And the Ramban Taka says that. And he says, and Chachamim came and said details, don't do this, don't do that. It still needs beer what it means, but the Ramban explains it very well. And I would suggest that you read the Ramban in Parshas Emor. It's a beautiful long Ramban, and I'm not going to do that here. But I want to just go through a Ritva in Rosh Hashanah that quotes the Ramban and explains it very well. Besides this, you should know that everywhere it says Shvus is the Rabbanon, doesn't mean that it's not Menat Torah. It says Shvus is Menat Torah. If not, then Shabbos would be lahavdil what the world thinks is Sunday. Stores would be open. If I can, there would be sales. And there would be you would have they even go. I don't know if you have it all over, but here in Chicago with the big supermarkets on Shabbos, you have and it comes summertime, or before the summer, they're open with all the plants and everything, the guns, because everything takes place Shabbos. That's when you plant, that's when you do everything, because that's, okay, we couldn't plant, but, and you take things from one place to the other, to a caramelist, and you measure, and you weigh, and everything. He says, it is not appropriate that the Torah, it doesn't make sense. The Torah asks us carrying a little piece of gregarious, but to let you do all this heavy work and heavy lifting and heavy work and all of this difficulty. So here's the point, and in the name of the Rambam, that the mitzvah say a shvus of Torah, you gotta relax on Shabbos. It's got to be a yom menucha. It has to be a yom menucha. That's the Lashon Ramban. It should be a yom menucha. And not like a weekday. However, if let's say a person were to do everything, he relax, he's back, doesn't do a thing. He goes and he carries something. That wouldn't be a disruption of the whole day and turn it into a lack of menucha. So that's where the Rabbanan came in and said, don't do this, don't do that. But its source is the fact that the Torah wants a menucha, a yom menucha. So Ramban the Kuda is you need to make Shabbos holy, separate. Shabbos should be a day of Shvus, menucha. And however, if you by your doch, it's a yom menucha, but you do one little thing, that wouldn't disturb. So, So let's understand that. The Rambam in Perek Aleph speaks about Malacha, Shvisa b'Shvim and Malacha. And then he comes in Perek Aleph, Tishbis Avim D'An Shein Malacha. They make up your mind, what's Shvisa? I think they're both the same. It's Tishbis, it's not two Tishbis, it's one Tishbis. What the Rambam is saying is that there are two aspects of the Tishbis. Malacha, one little malacha of Gregoris or any type of malacha is ois. Malacha disrupts Shabbos, disrupts the shvisa of Shabbos. Anything that's not a malacha is not disrupted. If the day turns out not to be a yom menucha, it'll take away the menucha of Shabbos. But one little thing wouldn't disrupt. That's the nekuda. Malachi, one thing, one Gregoris. And we'll see soon a mashu and some things. We'll disrupt. But the idea, the end of both of them are the same thing. To have a yom menucha, but there a little thing disrupts. There you need more than this. That's the difference between malacha and not malacha. That's Perek Aleph and Perek Chaf. So that's Perek Aleph is the hafra, the disruption of menucha through one act. Perek Aleph is the disruption of menucha through a general atmosphere of lack of menucha. And Chacham said even small things you should do. So that's why he writes in Hilchos Shabbos, Lishbeis Malach and Perek Aleph, because he's talking about one malach destroys. One malach makes ice yom menucha. He doesn't say that in other places, because other places not saying he's not getting involved in that. He's talking about the general halach, the general din of shvisa. Maybe that's why he stresses shvisa b'shvi in Hilchos Shabbos, because shvi is a weekday. Shvi is the name of a weekday. Shvi is the day of the week. He's talking about making it into a yom menucha, the day of the week, making it Shabbos. We asked that Yom Tov learns from Shabbos and Shabbos learns from Tishbis. Now, I don't have a riot to what I'm saying, but it'll fit very well. Tishbis talks about the Gavra. My Chiyuv. Shabbos talks about the day. Shabbos is Mikatche V'Kaim. Gavra doesn't make Shabbos. Shabbos is there and so. Okay, there's Giddish. There are aspects of it, but we may have talked about it once. Definitely, I have talked about it once. Whether I did it in this format, I don't know. But the bottom line is, ultimately, Shabbos is Mikatche V'Kaim. It's Kaddish. It doesn't need me. It doesn't need me. So it's only about me. It's not about the Shabbos. That's why I don't learn from Shabbos. I learn from the Tishbis. It's the din of my shvisa. Yom Tov, Yisrael Mikatche Lazman, right? We make it into Yom Tov. So therefore, there's a din of Shabbos. Doesn't say Tishbis anyhow, but there's a din of Shabbos. That's why in the Hilchos Yom Tov, you guys listen Kayem mitzvah. Shabbos, you write shvisa is a mitzvah. That's mitzvah B. But there you can't be mitzvah. There's no din of menucha on Yom Tov. The thing is to make Yom Tov into a day of holiness, of specialty. And that's Kayim mitzvah. You accomplish the union of Shabbos. Made it into a union of Shabbos. It's interesting to note that anywhere in Shabbos where it says the word Shabbos, it's right in proximity with the word Kodesh. Could be because Shabbos is not making it. It's Kodesh. It doesn't. You don't need me for that. It's Kodesh. Yom Tov is not like that. Shabbos and by Shabbos doesn't do Kedusha. It's also everywhere where it says Shabbos and in Shabbos, it's talking about Issa Malacha. Why does he say Issa Malacha Batul Mitzvah by Shabbos? Very good. It's a Chiddush Pella. With one little malacha, exactly the question that they asked. One malacha, I destroyed the menucha of Shabbos. I did that's the chiddush of malacha. The lamatas malacha is a heft, a mice of afra menucha. A mice that destroys menucha. Yeah, that's the chiddush. That's why it's bottom. That's why you have to write bottom mitzvah. You would think I'm a mitzvah Shabbos. So in the spirit of Shabbos, I should be Shabbos. What about Yom Tov? Why does he write it? Because there's another chiddush that doing the malacha it destroys the days in Yom Shabbos. You think good? I didn't do, but the day is a day. It could be that's why he brings the Meshalim to stress how much binyan do you need to be destroy a Shabbos, a Yom Tov? Mash culture, who it says. How much harisa or of destruction do you need? A mashu. Even by Oreg, there's a din. If I finish a beged with a mashu, or mashu destroys it destroys the whole day. That's the chiddush bottle mitzvah. As the Ritvaras, ain't a bedin. She also tell you I saw Gregorius, and that's not a menucha. It could be that's why he writes it that way. Starts with Anoch. That is a day that's also Masiyas Malach. And he explains what it's a malach is mutter. So it's obviously it's not the same type of yom menucha. And yet, now he tells you, but Shabbos is kayim. That's the way you make it into a yom. Yom Tov makes it. You make Yom Tov into a special day, and that's the specialty. Yeah, that would be, even though it's mutter. So the bottom line is. Tishbeis, there's two that we come out with. There's an Ina Tishbeis in Yom Tov. There's an Ina Tishbeis in Shabbos. Shvisa and Shabbos are mitzvah say. What's the mitzvah say? The mitzvah say is I should have a Yom Menucha. I should have a day of Menucha. And that has two parts to it. There's a part that's negated to malacha, which a little malacha is mafriya in my menucha. Then there's a day where the spirit of the day is menucha, that affects anything else. The rest of the day has. If I come with a to-do list of shopping and then moving things and then washing my car, which you can in a way that's not a malacha that I say. If I do that as a to-do list, it's menucha. Chacham said. Even less than that, but that's not young. That's one nakuda. Second nakuda, that understanding. The second nakuda is that there's a difference between Shabbos and Yom. Shabbos are in the gavra, my menucha. Yom are in the yom menucha, making it a day of special that has no shaykhs to the meal. I want to mention that the Ritva, when he quotes this Rambam. I think this idea that menucha is not just the rest, it's creating a day of menucha, creating a matzah of menucha is a margolius. It's a pearl. It's a very valuable understanding of what Shabbos Yom Tov is.